What's up, B2? Capital G here, giving you guys a quick deck profile of the Altergeist build that I took to the Greenville, South Carolina regionals over the weekend. I finished with a record of 7-2. I want to say that the event had somewhere between 320 and 330 people. That was 9 rounds of Swiss. I got 11th place at the event, which is my best finish in quite a while. So it was definitely a deck that performed incredibly well. There were a good amount of Altergeist at the top tables. I want to say I finished with I finished the highest of all the Altergeist players. And, shout outs to DZ because he's given the Altergeist community a nice vote of confidence with his back-to-back tops. So the deck is definitely still real, still has one of the best grind games, and still one of the strongest control decks in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into it. And my matchups, every single one of them will be in the description below, and then like how I fared against them. Obviously, we have Cap G's favorite Altergeist monster, Best Girl. We have 3 copies of Altergeist Miluseek. DZ said it best: if Miluseek went to 1 and Faker was at 3, this deck would basically be unplayable. Miluseek is just the most important card in this entire deck. She's amazing in every single point of the game, whether it be early, late, mid, doesn't matter, going first, going second. She's just absolutely phenomenal. She's a searcher and spot removal all built into one card, and she kind of turns herself into a defensive card in Link Karibo. 3 copies of Mary. Our other Altergeist card that we max out on, excellent normal summon. It's a +1 on summon, getting you an Altergeist trap. Also, it can revive Miluseek and Faker from the graveyard, even Hextia. Situationally, you'll get like Silquidius from the graveyard, but an awesome utility card. Speaking of Silquidius, of course, we're going to play a couple copies of Silquidius. You don't ever want to max out on this card. Quite frankly, it's kind of terrible to draw. I did draw Silquidius a couple of times in my opening hand, not great, but you can manage if you happen to have like Konkori, or if you happen to have like Altergeist Protocol. Having a nice little bounce turn 1 is definitely legitimate. Gotta play 2 because if the first one gets like destroyed or banished, you want to have that second one to summon off of Multi-Faker. And actually, shout outs to the guy at the regionals who gave me the prismatic secret rare. That was pretty nice. So yeah, Cap G has both rarities of Multi-Faker. Multi-Faker going to 1 did not really hurt this deck at all. I think that Altergeist is arguably better right now than when it did have the 3 Faker because of Solemn Judgment, which I'll talk about when I get to that. But yeah, there was only 1 duel in 9 rounds where I actually like really missed another copy of Faker. Lastly, we're playing, of course, the Konkori. Sometimes I troll on my live stream. I stupidly side this card out and then immediately regret that decision. I did not do that all day. And, I opened with Konkori a couple of times, but it was okay. I think I only lost like 1 single duel because I opened with Konkori and it was just like super dead in my hand. You still want to run it. We played 3 copies of probably the best monster hand trap for Altergeist, and that would be Ash Blossom and Joy Springs. People call this card low impact. You can definitely argue that, but the thing about Ash Blossom and the value of it is its versatility. It's good against basically every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's like worth a damn. I want to say of my 9 rounds of Swiss, I think I played against 9 completely different decks, including like Orcust and then Cyber Dragon Orcust, and Ash Blossom was just good against every single thing. So that's the reason why this card is so strong, and it's such an excellent kind of accent to what Altergeist do, is because it's good against everything, no matter what you're playing against. This card was the exact opposite. I played 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and I hated this card. I sided it out almost every single game. A lot of game 2s, sided it out. It did not come back in for game 3. I never really felt that this card was impactful. I wish it could have been a multitude of different things, anything from evac to more copies of Crackdown or Lost Win. This card was mediocre. Quite frankly, I'm even going to go as far as to test something like Ghost Bell. I feel like Effect Veiler would have been better, but it might be a little redundant. I kind of want a card that does something different, but this ain't it, Chiefs. I knew that this card was bad. I've been saying for the last 2 weeks that this card's terrible on my live stream, and I just begrudgingly played it, and I really, really hated it the entire day. I don't know if I lost any games because of it, but I will never play Ghost Ogre. Like, I'm not going to play it again in this deck because it was just terrible. To the spell cards, of course, we played 3 copies of Draw 2 cards, and we don't give a fuck about our extra deck. Not one time in the single event after resolving this card, did I lose something imperative out of my extra deck? Like, you have to play this card. There is no substitution. People ask all the time, can I play Desires? Do not play Desires. Don't mess your deck up. Don't banish your one copy of Faker. You got to play Extravagance. Now, this was different. A lot of Altergeist players don't play a lot of spells, but personally, I saw a lot of value in Called by the Grave. A lot of people run more trap cards. The reason that I ran Called by the Grave at 3 instead of just more traps is I didn't really feel like more traps would give me like another, it wouldn't give me kind of like another play or anything like that that the deck didn't already have. But this allows me to push through, especially when I'm going first, which ideally Altergeist do want to go first. It allows you to push through like Ash Blossom, and that can be important because then you can resolve things like your Extravagance doing Ash. You can resolve your Miluseek when you go for Link Karibo. I felt like Call by the Grave was excellent for turn 1, and then even like as a defensive card, it's pretty good. Also, if I ever got red rebooted, I didn't just want to completely die. That never happened in the event, but this is a card that can be used defensively under red rebooted or under red reboot. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't always super great, but I think I would still run Call by the Grave moving forward. I decided to run one duality. This was just, I guess, kind of like tech from DZ that I stole. It was okay when I saw it. I'm not going to lie, I did side this card out a lot. I don't necessarily know if it was a high impact card because I only resolved it maybe like twice in the tournament, maybe 3 times tops, but I probably would cut it just because the extravagances were enough in my opinion. And then this is very ratchet. Please, 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 please do not do this, even though you see me doing this. This is a playset of Solemn Judgments that are 3 different rarities. Let me explain. This card has been at 1 or banned so long that I really just kind of had to scrape together to get my 3 copies. Obviously, I've had the secret for forever. I bought a Ghost a while ago, and this is a common because it was in my good common box, and I just found this like the night before the regional. I realized, oh my god, I only have 2 Solemns. I was looking for a Solemn Warning, which I also couldn't find, but luckily I was able to find a common. Don't worry, if this is not a a ghost rare soon, it'll at least be like a secret or an ultra or something like that. Maybe I'll get I'll probably get the ultra from like Metal Raiders or something like that. That was my first ever Yu-Gi-Oh card. We're playing even more Solemn Strike. This card was excellent. I rarely ever sided it out. A couple of times when I knew I was going second against a deck, I would like side out maybe 1 copy. But this is also really good for if you're going second against kind of break my board decks, which I didn't really play any super high ceiling 15 negate break my board decks. This also, like, these never conflicted. There was never one time in the entire event where I could not pay for the Solemn Strike. So that's one of the beauties about like Solemn Judgment, being always able to pay for it, but never came up where I couldn't use the Solemn Strike. 3 copies of Impermanence. I was talking a little trash about this card on my live stream, talking about how I didn't think it was that good, but we're gonna play it anyways. Honestly, it proved me wrong. The card was damn good. I mean, don't get me wrong, the whole multi-faker Impermanence, like, that doesn't really happen anymore, but I still definitely would play 3 of this card. It did work. We played 3 copies of Personal Spoofing. This is another card that I've gone back and forth with. Usually I play 2 copies, and there were a couple of times where I dead drew it and didn't have an immediate play with it. One time against Thunder, he just absolutely wrecked me because he ashed it once, then he ogred it the next turn. But honestly, this card saved me way more times than it hurt me, so I would continue playing 3. I think 3 is the right number. The other Altergeist cards, even though for some reason Personal Spoofing doesn't have Altergeist in its name, which would definitely help. 2 copies of Protocol and a Manifestation. I think this is the right number. I never missed a second copy of Manifestation. I thought maybe I'm going to miss that second copy or I'm going to end up not being able to get to it. It never happened in 9 rounds, which tells me this is probably the right ratio. We played 2 copies of Lost Win and a Crackdown. I wish I ran more Crackdowns because it was valuable when I saw it, but I didn't really see it that much. Lost Win was amazing. Now, I did play True Draco and I played Border Stun, so it wasn't very useful in those matchups, but against like Orcust, man, there was in my last round against Cyber Dragon Orcust, no lie, I resolved Lost Win 4 times in that duel, including, I think twice against Dengirisu, once against Borlo Dragon, and once against Galatea. It was nuts. So much value out of this card. I would definitely run it again. And then, of course, we're playing the 1 copy of Imperial Order. It was pretty solid. I don't think that you have to run this card, but you know, I didn't really play that many Sky Strikers, so maybe my view on it is, I don't know, a little, I guess, jaded because of that. But I think you could, I think I would still run this card moving forward to the extra deck, which, quite frankly, was not very important outside of like 2 cards. So we're playing 3 copies of Altergeist Hexdia. This is, oddly enough, the second most important card in this extra deck. Obviously, it's the best Altergeist Link monster. I summoned it a ton in this event, probably about, I don't know, maybe 7-8 times. Link Karibo was the card that I went into the most, just because Milusi goes into it. You can also summon it during the battle phase from the graveyard. Now, the thing is, of all 15 of these cards, these were the only 2 cards I used in 9 rounds. I did not use any of the rest of these cards, and even after using Extravagance about 15 times in the event, I never banished all of these copies. Plus, Link Karibo can be summoned from the graveyard. So all of this other stuff, Clara and Rushka, was irrelevant. I played 2 copies of Nightmare Cerberus because I sold my Phoenixes. I'm trying to upgrade them from the Megaton, so I didn't have Phoenix. We played a Lambda. We also played Land for Linkus because we're too poor to own multiple copies of Lambda. Underclock Taker. I lost my Borolo Dragon somehow, so I threw in Ningirsu just kind of to have a way of outing that Crusadia Avramax card, because Borload is like an out to that. So I decided to run this, and then also Deco Talker, because why the fuck not? We need to play 15 cards for Extravagance. Again, I didn't summon any of that stuff. The only cards I summoned were Hexdia and Link Karibo. Then for my extra deck, which it was okay. I'm not gonna lie, my extra deck definitely needs some work. We played 3 copies of Phantasme. This was the worst card in my extra deck. All right, so I knew that this card conflicted with Multi-Faker. I knew this because I played this card at a regional before and I didn't like it. The reason I decided to play it again is because I thought with 1 Faker, the confliction would not happen very often, and boy, was I wrong. Even the times where I summoned Phantasme, it still wasn't good enough to win me the duel. I think I summoned this 3 times in the event. I want to say like twice against Orcust and 1 time against Salamangreats, and I still lost like 2 of those duels. So yeah, I'll never play this card again. I was supposed to get Nibiru, but I was too lazy to go to my locals, so whatever. We played 3 copies of Evenly Matched. This was okay. I think I probably would play it again. There were probably resolved about 5 times. Few times it was really good. I actually blind second a lot against Orcus in like game 3s because I don't really respect their turn 1 board. So it was very powerful. This was a card that I threw in spur of the moment, right? So I didn't have Nibiru. So I decided to go kind of ghetto. I was going to play Spear Mode, but unfortunately I only had 1. So I decided to throw 2 Cosmic Cyclone in. My thought process was, I thought Cosmic Cyclone could be good going first or second. And even though people will say, well, Cap, doesn't Altergeist generally run Storm Dusters or Unending Nightmare? Those cards give you more value, yes, but you can't use them going second. And against decks like Salamangreat, or Orcust, decks that can search their Infernity barriers, being able to use this and immediately get rid of the Infernity barrier, make them activated basically, it kind of lets you just play for the turn. Another reason why I like this card is because you can do this during the draw phase, right? And then you can actually just like, you can still use Extravagance in that turn. So this card is actually really good, and I might play 3 copies of this moving forward. We play, let's see, 3 copies of just Beat Sky Striker. Sky Striker is just like really easy for Altergeist. I played against a Sky Striker player, 2-0'd him in like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. Only reason we play that is for Sky Strikers or Pendulum players who are not playing Endymion. And then we played, lastly, the Inspector Border. If I would have sold this against Salamangreat's game 3, probably would have won that. But this card, really good against combo decks if you're going first. Not Pendulums, obviously, because they can just easily kind of summon a Pendulum and play. But yeah, against like that, even against the Border Control Stun deck, this served as a beater where I could like summon it. I set it against his Fossil Dyna. He couldn't kill it, which was actually hilarious. But yeah, I would continue playing Border. One card I think I actually want to try, maybe in the future in the side deck, is Get Out. I think Get Out could be pretty decent, especially going like second against Orcus, because they're generally going to have like Dingirsu plus Galatea, area, and Get Out just like wrecks that board. I think it's just good against also like Pure Thunder. I didn't really have that much stuff against Pure Thunder, so I think moving forward with this deck, I would take out the Ogres, take out the Duality. That would give me 3 slots, and I would either play, I'd either kind of test Ghost Bell, or I'd play more kind of like high impact traps, Evac Device, Crackdown, stuff like that. And then I would also consider like, you know, testing out to Get Out and stuff like that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck profile. There will be another one later this week. If you guys did, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.